questions. I'm gonna wait for some people to show up here, but I just felt this strong call to go live. I've never done this before, to open up the space for questions and to see who in the community here shows up and where those questions might take us. I'm coming to you from a mountaintop at my brand new home, which about 6 weeks ago, I didn't even know that this place existed. And God directed me here to live in this new place in a new chapter in my life. And so here I am. I'm opening up this space for questions that you might have on giving your gifts, on healing shame. Feel free to put them in the chat and I will do my best to give whatever answer wants to come through. Right now, just some beautiful medicine of a mountaintop and the vista here, which is so incredible. And it makes me consider how when we are living with purpose, how it requires us to change our perception, right? It requires us to hike to the mountaintop, as it were, to see things differently. And in that journey that we let go of the things that can't go with us. And so that's a big part of living with purpose and giving our gay gifts, is that when we're drawn to a vision, it's enough of a draw for us to take steps forward into the unknown, but not enough of a draw that it gives us all of the steps in advance. We don't know what will be required of us to give the gifts that we have, to live the dream that we see in our mind's eye, to offer ourselves to the world. What does that actually mean? What will that require from us? And from my own vantage point, my own experience in my life and with others, is that's how we grow. Right? We see that vision, we're aiming for something, and that vision becomes stronger than the challenges that we have. And that when we have a sense of purpose, when we have a sense of direction in our lives, it gives meaning to what we, hi Justin, it gives so much meaning to what our past has been, right? The challenges that we've had, the struggles that we've had, the traumas that we've had. When there's a reason for our existence, we can see how those things, not that we wanted them to happen, but we can see how those things have shaped us and are something that we can offer to other people so they feel less alone, right? It's what all of my challenges, hi Lux, all of my challenges, all of the things that were pain points and questions throughout my entire lifetime, that's the medicine. That's the medicine. To be able to tell you that this is what I walked through, this is how I did it, this is my way, here's things that have helped me. That is meaning enough so I can look back and I can say thank you to my past self for walking through all of that. And I can even forgive some of the people who I had a shared experience with that wasn't great. I can see how all of it fortified me, strengthened me, and gave me some purpose. I want to read these messages. This is my first time here, so I'm learning how to do this right now. What have I witnessed as a connection between addiction patterns, behaviors, and the covering of shame or stuffing down of our gay gifts? I think that they go hand in hand. My feeling, belief, knowing, and truth is that we gays are here to be different, to feel outside of the communities, families, and the places that we were raised so that we can reflect to others what they can't see, so that we can see from the outside. And so, of course, being on the outside and not having awareness of, especially when we're young, right? We don't have any awareness of what our gay gifts are. They're inherent within us, right? My parents used to say that from the time I could stand, I would dance for the family. I'm the youngest in the family, and that I would dance. They would put on music and they would just watch me dance. And that the joy that came from me as this little baby dancing brightened the family. So that self expression, even as a baby, was a gift to that kind of tense environment that I grew up in. And because we're not aware of why we're different, of why we're here to be different, that shapes shame, right? Because we look around and we can see, I'm not like them. They're living life in this way and I'm not. And what does that mean about me? Right? If there's no one giving us context, our parents are different, our siblings are different, our friends are even different than us. No one has context for what we are, what we're doing, and why we're different. So that creates shame over time. And that shame keeps us from being seen. It keeps us small. It keeps us hiding because, of course, that's what we needed to do to feel safe. And so we develop patterns based out of shame. We develop patterns that are addictive and that are compulsive. And I'm not saying that to add shame to anybody because I've had plenty. I have plenty still. And what those compulsive behaviors do is keep us small. They keep us in a comfort zone. They actually keep the story that we are shameful, they keep it going, right? So we're proving to ourselves through these actions that that we are beings that should be ashamed, right? We'll do behaviors that feel out of alignment, and then we look back and go, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. I feel ashamed, right? We're just validating the story that we already have about ourselves. So yeah, it's kind of an endless cycle until we can start to see it, right? When we can step out of behaviors and patterns and we can see them objectively, then we don't repeat them as easily. We have more awareness when we're about to go into a behavior or pattern or an addictive tendency. We have an awareness that we're doing it, and that makes it a little harder to do, obviously, unconsciously. And so we need to have the time where we start to just observe ourselves and to see without judgment, start to see, is this action in alignment with my greater vision? Is this in alignment with who I know myself to be when I don't feel ashamed? No, it doesn't. Is this creating a sense of well-being and a sense of purpose and direction in my life? It's not. Okay, that's okay. I'm learning right now. I'm collecting data right now based on what feels good or doesn't feel good in my life. And that's the first step. is just seeing things a little bit more clearly, is starting to observe, and from that point we get the opportunity to make new choices. So that's how I see our compulsive behaviors um, effectively shoving down our gay gifts. Justin said the irony then is that we participate in those addictive patterns to break out of the shame and to escape it. Not easy, but we can. Yeah. And that is the question. Is this blank in alignment? Yeah. It's a loop, right? It's a loop that's easy to get stuck in because we can feel that shame from the actions, and then that causes us to really deepen a belief that there's something shameful about us. Opening up this space, if anyone else has questions, I'm going to stay on a little bit longer. Questions that you might have around shame, around your gay gifts, um, around any addictions or compulsive behaviors, and around healing. You know, that's the first step. Is the foundation for everything that we want is healing. Healing all of the beliefs, the patterns that happened in our youth that shaped who we think we are. And healing, I like to really get clear about what healing is and is not. Healing is not like the religious context of bringing your demons out and confessing sins and repenting and, all that bullshit. Healing is about going through your timeline. Hi, Benjamin. Healing is about going through your timeline and recognizing all the places in your past where things didn't go so right, where you didn't get what you needed, where traumas happened, where we fractured ourselves off, right? It doesn't even have to be traumatic. I remember talking with somebody, a one-on-one client that I was working with, and we went back in a deep meditation, we went back into a moment that his memory just allowed him to recall because he was in this meditation. We went back to this moment where his parents, he felt that he was essentially that he was responsible for his parents' divorce and how that shaped his choices from that moment on. And that was not something that he was aware of. He didn't see that as like a traumatic event, but then he could remember, he could recall this very specific moment in which he found this belief that if he wasn't a certain way, that his parents wouldn't stay together. Those are the things we heal, right? That, for example, I felt like I grew up in a pretty loving household. My parents weren't outwardly abusive. They weren't trying to harm me. There's nothing I can say that they outwardly did with intention to make me feel unsafe or unloved. So therefore, I had a real conflict for quite a while about why I felt so angry. And if my parents love me, I know that they love me. I don't remember anything really horrible happening, but why am I so angry? Why can't I move beyond these patterns of like a small life? Why are these things happening in my life? I can't make sense of it. And it wasn't until I did practices, I talk about breath work a lot because it actually changed my life. After years of therapy, I could understand things. Therapy was very helpful in allowing me to understand the patterns, the things that had happened in my childhood, and to be able to see things a little bit more clearly. But it didn't help me actually move beyond those things. And so when I found body-based practices like breath work and some movement practices that I love, that allowed me to move beyond my mind and into my body, what I discovered were things like repressed memories, were the depth of emotions that I held, and the frustration and anger and sadness and grief that I held within my body from things that happened at like 3 years old. And that that's not something that we can fully understand. That's not something that our mind can wrap itself around. And so healing to me is going beyond what we know with our minds and dropping into our bodies, our hearts, our inner child, and really feeling feeling what's there. And in that process, we have so much more compassion for ourselves, because it's not like, okay, I'm just broken and messed up because of, something that happened in my childhood that wasn't so bad and I should just get over it. No, it's about how we felt about it. It's about how it affected us in that moment. And so then when we can start to see how deeply those things affected us, then what we do is we start having self-compassion. And when we have self-compassion, then we can like not be at odds with ourselves. And that's how we get out of those loops, those shame loops, is we start to discover why we have them in the first place. I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes if anyone else has a question before I head off to the rest of my day. I'm glad we found each other, Benjamin. I'm going to be telling the story soon of how I got directed to this incredible place. This is part of a property that I'm living on now. And after a year of a lot of movement, to have one place that really serves my work and serves you and serves me, it feels like heaven. Thank you for being here. If there are no more questions, I'm just gonna say thanks for being here on my first live. It was a lot of fun. I'll be doing more of these in the future. I'll see you guys soon. I hope you have a great day.